Welcome back to Global Bike Buzz, your home for everything on two wheels, where classic style meets cutting-edge technology. Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the most anticipated releases from Kawasaki, the all-new 2026 Kawasaki W230. This retro-inspired street bike has been stirring up a lot of conversation lately, and for good reason. It's light, stylish, and speaks to both new riders and old-school purists alike. If you're a fan of vintage lines with modern engineering, you are going to love this one. Let's take a closer look. Kawasaki has been on a roll with its W series, and with the W230, they've taken the soul of the original W bikes and distilled it into a lightweight, approachable package that's perfect for daily riding, weekend cruising, and yes, even for those just getting into motorcycling. The W230 isn't trying to be the fastest, the most powerful, or the most high-tech machine on the road. Instead, it's trying to be fun, simple, elegant, and reliably, and it delivers on all those fronts with surprising confidence. Right from the moment you lay eyes on it, the W230 gives off an unmistakable classic British vibe with a touch of Japanese precision. Up front, you're greeted with a round halogen headlamp that pays homage to the 60s and 70s Cafe Tilde copyright racers. While many bikes have gone full LED, Kawasaki has deliberately chosen to keep this old-school look intact, which adds a unique charm. That said, the lighting is still bright enough for modern riding, and visibility isn't compromised. The slim fender above the front wheel, the wire spoke wheels, and the telescopic fork all echo that retro aesthetic beautifully. Swinging around to the side of the bike, the proportions are almost perfect for a retro standard machine. It looks light, narrow, and approachable. The tank is teardrop-shaped with simple but tasteful graphics that give it a touch of class without being overly flashy. You'll notice the signature Kawasaki badging in classic font across the tank, which pops nicely against the deep, glossy paint options. The exhaust is a low-slung chrome piece with a slightly upswept end, giving it a vintage British twin vibe despite being a single-cylinder machine. The blacked-out engine and side covers create a subtle contrast against the polished chrome, keeping the overall look clean and cohesive. As you move to the rear of the W230, the retro detailing continues. The taillight is small, circular, and mounted just below the rear seat. The rear fender is minimalist and adds to the old-school charm without looking outdated. The seat itself is a bench-style saddle, with classic stitching that looks like it came straight off a 70s classic. It's comfortable for the rider and reasonably accommodating for a passenger. You also get standard rear grab rails that are discreet but functional, adding to the practicality of the bike. Whether viewed from the back or the side, the W230 has a balanced, harmonious profile that nails the retro-modern fusion. Underneath that vintage styling, the 2026 W230 carries a brand new 233cc air-cooled single-cylinder engine, designed to offer a smooth and tractable power delivery ideal for urban use and light touring. It's not a rocket, and it's not meant to be. What it is, however, is refined, efficient, and incredibly fun to ride. The engine delivers just over 20 horsepower and roughly 20 Nm of torque, which might sound modest, but in a bike that weighs under 140 kilograms, it feels lively and responsive. Whether you're pulling away from a stoplight, cruising through the city, or taking on twisty back roads, the W230 feels eager and willing. The 5-speed gearbox is smooth, with a light clutch pull that makes riding in traffic a breeze. The fueling is spot-on thanks to modern fuel injection, and throttle response is crisp without being jerky. One of the things you'll appreciate most is the engine's character. It has that thumpy, slightly buzzy feel that makes you feel connected to the bike without being fatiguing. It's the kind of engine that rewards smooth riding, and it sounds great too, with a soft thump that grows into a mellow growl as the revs climb. In terms of real-world performance, the W230 excels in the areas that matter most to daily riders. The top speed is around 120 km/h or 75 mph, which is enough for highway riding, though it feels most comfortable at 90 to 100 km/h. Where it truly shines is in the lower to mid-range power, where it pulls cleanly and doesn't feel strained. Whether you're a beginner rider or someone who simply enjoys a relaxed pace, the W230 delivers a satisfying ride experience that's hard to beat in its class. On the chassis front, Kawasaki has gone with a traditional steel tubular frame that's tuned for comfort and agility. Suspension duties are handled by a 37mm front telescopic fork and twin rear shock absorbers. There's no fancy tech here, just simple, proven hardware that does the job well. The ride is plush over rough roads and stable in corners, offering a confidence-inspiring feel for new riders while still being fun for experienced ones. Braking is handled by a single disc up front and a drum brake at the rear. That's right, a drum brake. It may sound dated, but again, this was an intentional choice to maintain that classic aesthetic. Braking performance is adequate for the bike's weight and intended use, and ABS is included at the front to meet safety regulations. It's not a performance braking setup, but it does the job well and adds to the bike's character. Ergonomically, the W230 is very rider-friendly. The seat height is just around 765 mm, which makes it accessible to riders of all heights. The handlebars are wide and upright, the foot pegs are mid-mounted, and the overall riding triangle is relaxed. You can easily ride this bike for hours without discomfort, and it's the kind of setup that encourages exploration and perfect for weekend cruises or short commuting stints. When it comes to instrumentation, the W230 keeps things simple and analog. You get a twin-pod setup with a speedometer and tachometer, both with classic needle dials. A small LCD screen between them provides fuel level, odometer, and trip meter info. No TFTs, no Bluetooth, no connectivity features, and honestly, that's part of the charm. It's refreshing to ride a bike that doesn't overwhelm you with menus and modes, but instead lets you focus on the road and the ride. Now, let's talk price. Kawasaki has positioned the W230 as an affordable entry into the retro bike segment. In the US market, you can expect a starting price around $4,800 to $5,200 depending on options and region. In markets like Southeast Asia and Europe, the pricing varies slightly, but it's clear that Kawasaki intends this to be a budget-friendly bike with premium styling. That makes it not just appealing to new riders, but also to experienced enthusiasts looking for a fun second bike or a stylish commuter that won't break the bank. Fuel economy is another strong point, with real-world figures hovering around 85 to 90 miles per gallon or roughly 2.7 to 3.0 liters per 100 kilometers. Combined with a fuel tank capacity of 14 liters, you're looking at over 300 kilometers of range on a single tank. Perfect for those who want to keep their running costs low without sacrificing fun. So, who is the Kawasaki W230 really for? It's for the rider who appreciates simplicity and style. It's for the commuter who wants something a little more soulful than a basic scooter. It's for the weekend cruiser who wants to feel connected to the machine, not distracted by screens and sensors. And most of all, it's for those who believe that motorcycling is as much about how you feel as it is about how fast you go. The 2026 Kawasaki W230 doesn't try to be everything to everyone, but what it does beautifully. It's a reminder that you don't need 100 horsepower to have fun, and that sometimes, less really is more. With classic lines, modern reliability, and an affordable price tag, it's easy to see why the W230 could become one of Kawasaki's best-selling entry-level bikes in years to come. Thanks for joining us here at Global Bike Buzz. If you enjoyed this detailed look at the 2026 Kawasaki W230, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more